Hey friends, it's Ali here on StockScope Live. Today, we're talking about something you might not think of every day: uranium and rare earth metals. Don't worry, I'll break it down so it's super easy to follow. By the end, you'll know which stocks to watch and why they could be your next big win. Let's roll. Here's the deal: the US wants to make more of its own uranium and rare earth metals. These are used in EV batteries and wind turbines. There is a lot of cash being pumped in through incentives, through the Inflation Reduction Act, and through DoD contracts. Now, all they're trying to do is keep the supply chain safe because of their feud with China and other countries. Plus, these metals are key to cutting carbon emissions. Their clean energy demands growth. And this is the way that we're going to get there. We need more of this rare earth metals so we can build more wind turbines and more EV batteries and such to get that policy through. So in reality, policy and planet-friendly demands are teaming up. So let's see how this plays into what we're going to talk about next with these stocks. All right, the first one I'm talking about today is UEC, Uranium Energy Corp. Some U.S. company, and they pump uranium out of the ground using a gentle solution. It's called in situ recovery. Cost them around $30 a pound to get that done, and uranium trades around $72 a pound right now. Now, what I like about this company is they're scaling up to 3 million pounds a year in production, so revenue is definitely going to spike. They've logged in some really good, solid deals with utility companies, guaranteeing cash flows, and they get a tax credit when their fuel actually reaches nuclear power plants. Now, this stock is right now trading around 1050 after a bit of a rally happened today after Jerome Powell spoke and hinted at a 25 basis cut for the Fed rate. But we can see that it's kind of been hovering around between 9.5 and almost 11. And what we're looking for is an entry point that comes down to the support line down here. So we're looking for an entry point that hits around the $6 mark. If this comes down to around 6, even around 8, you might want to jump in because we're going to have a couple of support lines here. So I'm thinking you can buy something here, and then you can buy something if it dips down to 6 around there. So that's really what we're looking for, is a dip in this direction and then a bounce back up. Obviously, they have an earnings call coming in late September, about a month from now, and energy in general is booming. So if this dips down to 8, it might not go down all the way to 6. If it goes down to 8 and then jumps back up, you may not see it come back to 6. Now, if we zoom back out, we're going to see that it's done several of these zigzag to the side and then down and then back up over the last year since the beginning of 2024. And it did the similar things back before that in 2023, between 2022 and 2023. Zigzag to the side, and then it zigzagged really far to the right before it boomed again. And this is where AI has kind of been booming. And one thing that people seem to forget about is AI requires more and more power as we keep moving along in 2025. There's all these big data centers: Microsoft, Meta, Amazon, IBM. Everybody is putting up AI data centers, and they use more power than almost cities at this point, depending on how many you have. Microsoft is putting nuclear power to power their data centers. Meta just signed a deal with a company to purchase 28 microreactors because they can't find enough power on the grid. So we know that uranium is kind of an iffy thing. People don't like to talk about it, don't want to get into it, but it is the cleanest type of energy. And we are not talking about things from the 70s. We're talking about state of the art micro reactors that are safe. They use recycled uranium, and it's actually a very good thing to get into. Now, what we're going to talk about next is another company that I'm looking into, and it's called Ucore Energy Corp. And I keep forgetting the ticker. It's EU. It's trading on the Nasdaq right now. As you can see, we're looking at the 1 year. If we look at just this year, there was a big drop in March, like everybody else, but it's been crawling to the right and up, and our lows are higher and higher and higher and higher, and our highs obviously have been also higher and higher. But now we're seeing a bit of a dip in this area. Now, when we look at the volume, we see a humongous sell off around August 25th. This is mainly, I think, because of their earnings. It wasn't doing as well, but we're seeing there's an uptick in volume the next day. Sometimes institutions sell off so they can buy back in. This is definitely one that I'm watching, and we're gonna we're gonna be looking into getting into this one as soon as uh, it's available. So we're looking at around the $2.50 to $3 mark, right around this area here. That's the wrong button, and we're looking for an upside of about 20%. So we want to get in around the $2.50, and we're going to see this 100% going to climb past this level as this AI revolution keeps taking hold of the globe. The next one is interesting. We got Uranium Royalty Corp. Now, this is a based out of Canada. Short ticker is URC. This is the one I'm actually really excited about because obviously, it's not susceptible to the U.S. dollar fluctuating in the market, and your gains are not going to get wiped out by the trade difference between U.S. and Canadian dollars. And I'm in Canada, so now they don't mine anything. That's the beauty of this stock. What they do is they collect royalties from miners. So miner companies, small mine companies go, they mine stuff, they make sales, they pay them the royalty. So they own the mines, they don't do any of the mining. It removes that entire headache, just cash. As soon as uranium sells, they get money. They are diversified across a lot of different mines, so there's much less risk. And they pay a dividends yield of around 6%. Right now, it's around the $3, $4. We're looking at getting in right around the 340 mark. There's a couple of support lines that we're seeing forming here and here and here, but we're really looking for this line down here, anywhere between 320 and 340. This is where we want our entry point to be. If this keeps bouncing off this line, which is around 347 to 340 to 347, then we know we got a strong support here, and we can buy that and ride it up. You've seen a huge volume of purchases back on July, um, the 22nd of July this year. There's a lot of institutional volume purchasing here, but then we saw a sell off right around July 31st. Not really sure what the news was here, but I don't really care. I'm looking at the data, and it looks like this is one of the places that's going to be selling uranium into the market, and we don't have to worry about them mining anything. Next, we're going to talk about rare earth metals and minerals. The first one on the list is MP Materials Corporation. Now, this company, based out of the US, they run the Mountain Pass mine in California, and they make rare earth carbonates for magnets. Super important. They're building a magnet factory in Texas for higher profit margins in the future. They have a huge deal with Apple for EV magnets, and they have DoD contracts. Their next big thing is going to be full magnet production on US soil. This stock saw a huge rally from the past, right around the $30 mark, and they've climbed all the way up to almost 80, I don't know, 83 or so. So what we're looking for is, we see here, there was a big sell-off by institutions and then a big buy-in. As you can see, these empty spots. This is after hours trading. And then we saw this rally to the right, and it created a support line right around the $60 mark right here. But there's also a resistance line right around this mark, which then became a support line in the last few days. So you can see it's bouncing off. It's not really moving. We're still stuck around the $67 mark. This is going to be a huge thing. The more the US is feuding with China over magnets and rare earths, the more this is going to become important. And with all the projects and DoD contracts, I think this project is going to be huge. As you can see down here, you might have noticed this weird other graph. This is the MRSI, And this tells us how well the company is doing compared to other companies in their field. And as you can see, they're doing very well. We're way above the 8 line. We've been hovering between 16 and 12. So we're really looking for an entry point somewhere between 60 and 65. Even where it is today, somebody could argue that there's a good entry point right around 68. But we need to see it bounce a few more days around this line before we can say for sure that this is a good support line. Next on our list, we have USA Rare Earth. And again, this is a US based company, duh, by the name. And it has been consolidating sideways uh, for a long time until we had this breakout. So we can see this kind of struggle between buyers and sellers. But the good news is the lows are getting higher and then stabilizing and then getting higher. And the highs are getting higher and higher. So this is a good indication that the stock is ready to break out. We're seeing their MRSI is below 4. So it's not like the last one above, 12, but it's still going to be a huge, huge buy in the future. They have a Bear Lodge project in Wyoming to develop both light and heavy rare earths. The shorts are NDPR and DYTB. You can Google that if you are interested. What I like about them is their pilot plant are the results is coming out soon. So this is to confirm their efficient processing. They're backed by the Wyoming state and possible military offtakes. Not confirmed, obviously, because they're not going to tell us. Now, light and heavy rare earths are both needed in different industries. So you're covered both ways. We're looking for an entry point. If we see the stock continue to rally, we're probably looking at an entry point around 14, between 14 and 15. So we could buy it now, but we don't know what's happening in the near future. So we want to see some more institutional buy-in. We saw some over here, massive volume. We saw massive volume. So you always want to follow the institution's money because that's who's actually making the market move. Me and you buying a little bit here, a little bit there isn't going to break or make their stock. So we really want to see a continued rally in this direction and try to get in and ride this out. We may be able to if we buy in around like 15 and this goes up to around 22, we're looking for a 47% increase in value. So really, really nice one to get into. Not very expensive to buy, and you can make quite a bit of a profit. Just remember, this is not financial advice. I'm just telling you this is what the market's telling us. I might be buying in, I might not be buying in. Who knows? Remember to always take profits. Just because you're up 50% doesn't mean you're always going to be up 50%. These things always tend to go sideways, up and then down, sideways, up and then down. But definitely bullish on this one. As you can see from the long-term chart, it has been consolidating. It had up and down, and then we had a lot of institutional buys coming in. So I'm looking for this one to really take off in the near future. The next one is going to be a Canadian company. It's called Ucore Rare Metals, and this one trades on the stock exchange in Toronto, the TSX. Similarly, we had a bit of sideways work happening here. And then we had a breakout in this direction. We saw massive volumes, purchases over here. And then we saw a bit of a correction, but we're still seeing it moving up. Today it's trading at 331. And really, I don't think there's a downside to this. As you can see, the MRSI is right around the 16 mark. It's definitely going in this direction 100%, in my opinion. This is not financial advice. But really, I'm looking for a dip or a correction for at this level and right around this level. we're definitely going to see some zigzagging. So if we can get around the $2 to $2.50, that's a good entry point. If it does have a massive correction, then we're looking around $1.75. Huge, huge things coming for this company. They invented something called Rapid SX. It's a cheaper and greener way to separate rare earths. They're partnering to build an Alaska first heavy rare earth plant, and their tech, the Rapid SX, could be licensed worldwide. Royalties upside for sure. Now, their first mover in the U.S. for heavy rare earths, even before USA rare earths. So definitely a huge one to look into and keep on your radar, especially if you're in Canada. All right, so building your dream portfolio in this sector, you want to think of it like building a meal. You need the protein, which is your core. You need some sides, that's your satellites, and a little dessert, and that's your alpha. The core gives you stability, the satellites add growth, and the alpha brings that sweet upside if it hits right. And we're talking obviously about MP, URC for your core, UEC and USA rare earths for your satellites, Ncore and Ucore for your alpha. Don't just dive in. Make sure that you set limit orders, use stops, grab tax perks. Nuclear gets Section 45Q credits, and many rare earth projects boast their RMI certification. If you care about environmental, social, and governance, ESG, you need to look into that. Obviously, if you're in the States, the 45Q credits does apply there, does not apply in Canada. Now, let's recap. You want proteins, sides, and desserts in your portfolio. There's a lot of big catalysts and entry zones that you can touch. We want to make sure that you're following those companies, follow the news, make sure you're looking for their earnings calls, look at their finances, make sure that all those things line up. Do your own research. Make sure that you aren't missing out on this industry. Because at the end of the day, like I said before, if we want to drive AI and quantum computing, our main problem is energy. And the US has a big energy problem. China has been stockpiling their energy industry for a long time now, a couple of decades, if not more. And so if China's going to catch up or beat the US in AI, it's going to be because energy is lacking. So instead of investing in this AI company or this quantum company, which I'm not saying don't, but if you want a safer bet, energy is the place to be. Everything needs energy to run, especially when we're getting to these AI and quantum systems. They need a lot of energy. So there you have it, your easy roadmap into US and Canadian uranium and rare earth stocks. Make your picks, set your orders, set your limits, and keep an eye on those catalysts. If you enjoyed this, hit like, drop a comment on your top pick, and don't forget to subscribe. I'm Ali, and I'll catch you in the next one.